Trooper Jack Sadler of the Honourable Artillery Company was killed in southern Afghanistan in December 2007. His father, Ian, only received a letter of condolence a matter of weeks ago.
Downing Street said this morning a serious administrative error caused the delay. Gordon Brown has now demanded a review of procedures to make sure it doesn't happen again. Let's talk to Ian Sadler, the father of Jack, who joins us from our Exeter studio. Hello, Ian. Thank you so much for spending the time to talk to us this morning. So you received the handwritten letter from Gordon Brown, as we were saying, almost 2 years after Jack's death. Also, a letter of apology. What did that say?
The letter of apology came from one of Gordon Brown's staff. It was included in the letter from number 10 Downing Street. Right,
and what did you think when you got the letter and the letter of apology?
I thought it was a bit late. I mean, it's the second anniversary tomorrow on the 4th of December. Jack was killed on the 4th of December 2007. I also thought it was a bit rich coming from a person that I hold responsible for my son's death. I think Gordon Brown, by channeling resources away from the helicopters and into refurbishing premises, barracks and accommodation, a lot of soldiers have died because they've been forced to travel overland instead of flying. This is what Colonel Thornlow said, and this is what a number of other senior officers have said.
Ian, with the letter itself, just to quote what it said, it praises Jack's courage. It says the service to his country was outstanding. It will never be forgotten. It does sound like Gordon Brown's intentions in the letter were sincere, even though the error meant that it didn't get to you, unfortunately, for quite a significant period of time.
Actually, when I read the letter, there were bits in there about Jack's university, the fact that he wanted to be an officer. I thought whoever put the letter together had done some research, but I doubt if Gordon Brown had done that research. I should imagine that was one of his staff also that had put the letter together and he just scribbled it out. It is a bit of a scrawl, and the reason I got the letter, you know, you haven't asked me that. When Mrs. Jane's letter was aired extensively 2 or 3 weeks ago, after the BBC had, in particular, because it was the BBC I complained to, after they'd handled it, they made Gordon Brown look as if he was a victim of a kind of slur by the Sun. I saw Mrs. Jane's as the victim, and Mrs. Jane's son, Jamie, bled to death in the desert through a lack of helicopters, she said. And I thought, well, that's a coincidence, because my son bled to death in the desert through lack of helicopters.
I'm sorry, Ian. Do you want to continue or not? Should we leave?
And then the person that sends me this letter, the person that signed off the helicopters, £1.5 billion was the projected budget for the new helicopters, and this money was channeled into refurbishing accommodation. Amazing.
I mean, Ian, you know what the arguments are from Downing Street. Downing Street say that in the past couple of years, an awful lot more money has got into going towards the equipment and providing the helicopters that they need in Afghanistan. I mean, obviously, you're saying that's not enough. Are you against the war in Afghanistan per se?
No, I'm not against the war. The latest propaganda that's coming out of 10 Downing Street and Jock Stirrup is that the new Merlin helicopters have been delivered to Afghanistan. Well, that's amazing. Des Brown told me on the 9th of September last year, so just over a year ago, that 6 Merlin helicopters were going to be sent out to Afghanistan. He said, but they can't go straight away because they need to have new rotor blades because of the different climate conditions in Afghanistan and the altitude. Now, they've taken over 12 months to refurbish 6 helicopters. Now, that doesn't smack of Britain at war, Great Britain at war, does it?
You're clearly extremely angry with not just the letter, but the whole circumstances surrounding equipment being supplied to Afghanistan. I can see that, Ian. Have you spoken to Downing Street? Have you spoken to anyone in the Ministry of Defence subsequently about your concerns since you spoke to them a year ago?
I've written to my MP. I hope my MP's going to bring this up. I've written to my MP about the letter I sent to the Ministry of Defence the other day, because through the Freedom of Information Act, I found out that the coroner was given false information at the inquest regarding the response times of the immediate response transport. Now, according to the Ministry of Defence, the helicopter was requested, and it arrived 31 minutes later, which was 1 minute outside their desired 30-minute slot. Looking at the radio log, which the MOD forgot to redact, because they redacted all the other times, that doesn't concur with the radio log. And 13 minutes before the helicopter got there, a signal was sent in to Fort Bastion to say that my son's condition had deteriorated. If that helicopter had got there 25 minutes earlier, I might have a vegetable to wheel around in a wheelchair because of the injuries that Jack suffered. But I think Jack may well have been alive.
All right, Ian. We'll leave it there. Thank you very much for your time this morning. Thanks for talking to us.
Ian Sadler there. You can hear more about this story on a programme called The Report. It's on Radio 4 this evening, and it's at 8 o'clock.
Time for a look at the weather with Alex.